Hey, Nathan here, helping you become a better jungler. We are back for some Season 11 preseason content, starting with Nunu. So the way my channel is going to work over the next couple of weeks until Season 11 officially starts, which is around mid-January, is I'm going to be only covering 3 champions, Nunu, Hecarim, and Eve. A lot of it's going to be built off the original guides that I did on those champs in Season 10. They'll be linked in the description below. Focusing a lot about how to play these champions, the fundamentals, but obviously also covering the new items. But the game hasn't changed too much. Pathing's changed slightly. We'll cover that again in this video. But what I really wanted to do was to start with just looking at the experts. What are the best players doing? So I'm going to be doing some review videos of some challenger players, again for these 3 champions. Starting with Nunu, this is a player of the European West server, Hayden. Who is Hayden? So he hit challenger last season, about low challenger, but challenger's challenger. He's currently sitting at Grandmaster 660 LP. He did drop a little bit, but we can still call him a challenger player. And last season here, he had a 57% win rate across around 190 games on Nunu. This guy knows what he's doing. So what are we going to be doing in this video is we're going to be reviewing 3 of his early games up until 10 minutes. These were played very recently on November 19th, seeing what he's doing with his items builds, but also seeing the way he's pathing with the obviously new changes to Gromp and Rift Scuttler. Some things have changed, some basic fundamentals again from my original Nunu guide have changed in terms of pathing. So we're going to be taking a look at that. What I want you to be really focusing on in these gameplay is his execution of ganks. Obviously the way he's pathing early, which camps he's doing, how he's using his W, his snowball to get the ganks off, choosing and playing around, what win conditions, what lanes is he looking to focus around, repeating ganks on champions with no flashes, and why did some of his ganks fail? A couple of his ganks in these reviews do fail. Let's take a look at that, see what he's doing there. So I wanted to start with Hayden because he does some things a little bit differently from the traditional Nunu player, from skill order to runes. And the major one being with his skill order is he always maxes W second. Now I originally put this in my guide as well, but then I sort of reverted it saying everyone should max E second because it does more damage. We'll get into some reasonings why I think he does that when we get to the runes part, but sometimes he will also take Snowball level 1 looking for a cheese pick. I only recommend this for experienced players, otherwise you're always going to be wanting to start with Q just to get your buff off the map as quickly as possible. And then obviously W second in terms of, you know, your first clear. You want to be getting the raptors off the map as soon as possible. E and then max Q first, and then again he goes W second. So let's go into his runes. So these were the traditional Season 10, I would literally say cookie cutter runes. These were just what everyone was going. Everyone thought this was just the best. No reason to go anything else on Nunu. Quickly just going over why Phase Rush over Aftershock. Again, Aftershock was in my original build, but then it sort of got outdated and everyone realized how OP Phase Rush was. His ganks are good, but this makes his ganks literally the best in League of Legends. You're just going to go into someone with this snowball, you're going to get your E off, you're going to instantly proc your phase rush, and they can't get away from you. You're going to move in front of them to get your, even channel your ult off, and there's no way they can escape from you. Relentless Hunter works so well. Move speed is such a good stat with Nunu. Relentless Hunter plus the water walking plus the celerity, like you're literally flying around that with W's. Your ganks, again, you're all about your ganks. Your champion identity as Nunu is all about your snowball. So that's why it worked so well. Cheap Shot was just sort of just a bonus because it's extra burst when you get that knock up on your W and all the slows. So these were the main runes. And Hayden never, ever, ever goes these runes. I haven't seen him once in like his last at least like 40, 50 games. So a couple of things differently. I want to start with the sorcery tree. Instead of celerity, he actually takes absolute focus. So let's just think about this a little bit. So if I really think about when I'm ganking as Nunu, if I want in terms of maximizing damage, you're really going to be more than 70% health a lot of the time ganking. I probably can't think of one time where I'm ganking, especially in the early game, where I'm not higher than 70% health. So this makes sense. I don't think that this is bad at all. I mean, obviously, you know, he's challenger, so that works, but he goes this these runes pretty much every game, and then he takes the Precision Tree secondary, taking Triumph and Legend Tenacity. Triumph sort of doesn't make much sense to me in terms of, again, when I think about me ganking, if I'm pulling off a really good gank, there's no even threat of me dying. You don't really want to be skirmishing in long sort of fights. You want to be sticking around trying to kill some sort of Conqueror champ like Lee Sin or something. So I think Triumph isn't the main reason he takes it. I think this Precision Tree, I think it's more the Legend Tenacity. Reason being is that it helps him become very flexible in terms of his boots. I did talk about this in my main Nunu guide, meaning you don't have to build Merc Treads. You can opt for the steel, they're now called plated steel caps, I think, instead of the Ninja Tubs, which I called Ninja Tubs before. So that's the big thing why I love these runes in my initial guide. But again, he takes this every game, no matter what. So other thing here is you can switch out your armor runes for magic resist if you're against, like an Elise, Echo mid or something like that. The 2v2, I always look at the 2v2, the 2 mid and jungle champs when I'm looking to switch out this rune. So I thought this was really interesting, mainly for the absolute focus. So his second rune option, he actually rarely goes this, but it actually makes sense when he decides to go this. One of the second game that we're reviewing today, he does take this, and he likes to take this against very tanky teams. So if you look at this game, for example, he was against a Shen, Zac, Nautilus. Obviously these guys were a bit squishy, but this makes a lot of sense. So he's taking the taste of Blood Ravenous Hunter, again, just looking to be as strong as possible in terms of healing. Q, consume. His abilities are going to be healing him, so fights are going to be going long, obviously healing from Conqueror as well. Likes to take the Alacrity and Coup de Grace. I did see him take this build in another game where he actually went Tenacity and Last Stand, but I think I still prefer these runes. Again, Alacrity is really, really good for getting those Conqueror stacks up, all that sort of stuff. It's just going to give you more clear speed, and you want to be utilizing the attack speed again with Conqueror in these long skirmishes. So, he rarely went this, but I just want to emphasize this as an option if you're against very tanky teams, because the meta, a lot of people have been talking about, tanks, so everyone's playing a Moo jungle, that sort of stuff. So this is just something to consider against very tanky teams. So moving into items now. So these are the core items that Hyden likes to build. He goes Blue Smite every single game, no matter what. Even in that very tanky game that we just saw then, you could say, well, Red Smite could be very good in these, long skirmishes. But he likes to go Blue Smite. I mean, obviously move speed, again, helps with Nunu after the gank, so it makes sense. Merc Treads skill caps again. So this is again the beauty about him taking the tenacity in the Precision Tree is he's very flexible with these two boots. He doesn't need a tenacity for Merc Treads. If he's against a heavy AD team with CC, he can just opt for the steel caps, which against the old Ninja Tubs. Loves Dark Seal. So this is the thing that he really, really likes to build. And if he's snowballing, he will love to opt to take the Magi's. If he's ahead, he's pretty much always going Magi's every single game. Mythics is the big thing for this season, and the mythic that he's taken every single game is the Sunfire Aegis. This is a very strong item right now. I believe that they're looking to nerf it a bit, I think next patch. I might be wrong in that, but very strong item. Pretty much going to be going this every single game as Nunu. And other items here, Deadman's very synergized really well with Nunu. That was the same thing from sort of last season. This item hasn't changed. And Spirit Visage is also very good synergizing with Nunu in terms of his consume. So these are the core items. Obviously extra items here that you're looking at, a Bramble Vest if you're against a heavy healing team, and Randuin's even potentially if you need some more armor. But these are again the main core items that he is building on Nunu. So let's look at some item build examples. So as we can see here instantly, all these games are Blue Smite that we're going to be going over. He takes it again. You can look through his match history or have his OPGG link below. Loves to take the Blue Smite. And the next item is very important. So I did talk about the importance of Dark Seal. And you could think, well, Nathan, why don't you get Dark Seal on your first base? But he never goes Dark Seal next base. This Barmy Cinder here, he wants to build this every single game, even before Dark Seal. So if you look at this first game, for example, you notice there's no Dark Seal in this. I think the simple explanation for this is that he literally could he was spent 6 minutes on the map, and he could reset and buy a Sunfire Aegis on just straight up. So he went to take that. Other times you need to think, okay, when do you build tier 1 boots and when do you build tier 2 boots? It looks like if he can build Sunfire Aegis first, he'll build it. But other than that, he actually likes to build his tier 2 boots before he likes to build the Aegis. For example, this game here, he didn't even buy Aegis until later on. But I think that this game, he looked like he tried to build an AP Mythic, maybe Rocket Belt or something like that. So this game, I think it was more of a test game. But again, looking at the way he's building this, he loves to get Dark Seal on his next back after building the Barmy Cinder, Dark Seal on next back after building Barmy Cinder. This game, he didn't switch out to his sweeper till 22 minutes. Not sure if that was a mistake or not, but other than that, love switching out sweeper early. Obviously, you do the little trick where you place a ward down and you switch out to red sweeper trinket. Alright, now jumping into Heiden's gameplay. Taking a look first at his runes, he's opting for the main page that he goes with Absolute Focus, and then Precision secondary, going Triumph and Legend Tenacity. If we look at the effectiveness of Tenacity of this game against Rakan, Jhin, Heimerdinger, pretty useful. I'd talk about the advantages of this Tenacity rune, giving you the option, the flexibility to either go the Ninja Tabs, or Steel Caps, whatever they're called now. I'm going to have to get some time to get used to that. Or the Merc Treads. He actually opts for the Merc Treads this game. This could be for a couple of reasons. Jhin Rek'Sai probably aren't doing maybe well in the game, or maybe Akali or Heimerdinger start getting fed. So he's going to go for the Merc Treads this game. Again, we'll see how the game plays out. One thing I want to emphasize as well, in terms of runes builds, even boots, it very much will change from game to game. More than ever in League now, there isn't very much just a cookie cutter build. And I find this specifically for Nunu. Like, you can opt to go Dead Man's first or Spirit Visage first. It's all going to depend on how the game's going, who's fed, who's not fed you versus more AD, more AP. Going into the rune stats here, attack speed, AP, and then armor. Again, only really take magic resist if you're against an AP mid and jungle. Obviously, with Rek'Sai here is AD, so we can definitely be going for the armor. Alright, so let's take a look at, before trying to think about win conditions for this game. What would be the best thing to play around? We'll see what Heiden actually does play around, but for me right now, thinking what I would do, top Zac into Akali, probably ignore that. They're both just going to scale up, be impactful in terms of maybe TPs for Dragonfight. I have a Thresh bot lane. I can utilize a lot of CC tools against Jhin Rakan. Definitely very gankable. Also, Yone. 80 mid laners, I'll talk about this in my main Nunu guide, are so good with Nunu. So I'd say this is a really good Nunu comp. Definitely want to be playing around mid to bot, sort of see what's going on there. Heimerdinger is a little bit tricky to gank sometimes, with especially when he gets his ult as Nunu, because he can obviously cancel your your W with his E, and especially his empowered E. So bot side focus, that's where I'll be going this game. So let's take a look at what Heiden decides to do here. So Heiden actually goes for a W star and looks for a pick on this Heimerdinger. So this is something I talked about in the skill order, where sometimes you'll start W. This is something I don't recommend. Again, only for more experienced players. The consume's really important to start with. Just for, again, clearing your red buff or blue buff, your first camp. So he's obviously looking for a pick here, and it's pretty good setup. I mean, this is potentially a pick. You know, Thresh is coming in here. Maybe Thresh could have been a little bit quicker, but Heimerdinger sort of just backs off there, and unfortunately he misses. So, bit unfortunate. Places a ward down here, resets for red sweeper trinket, and now because he has started W, this is sort of the recovery method. You need to start Raptors now. So this sort of, again, butchers your pathing a little bit, because again, if you want to be playing bot side, like, you're gonna have to go here and then it's like back here, so it's a little bit inefficiencies here, but it's still fine. It's also going to be a bit slower as well, because you can just one-shot the Raptors with QW, and obviously you're not getting the leash, so definitely not an ideal start there. Going to be a bit slow, so does Raptors red. And bot lane has already died, and Jhin has burnt his flash. So that's definitely something Heiden, I assume, would be considering. Takes the wolves. and literally just does like a full clear, not even really thinking about a gank. And the reason being here is that, from my perspective, why he would be doing this is like, okay, if there was a lot of action happening bot, and this is where map awareness really kicks in. So Jhin has died now. This is pushing in. They're probably going to reset. There's actually nothing really that important for you to do on the map right now. So you can go ahead and go take your wolves, your blue, your gromp. But if you wanted to gank straight away as Nunu, red raptors, gromp, and then into a, this is really popular in season 10, into a gank straight away is a very, very fast way to get on the map and ganking straight away. But this specific situation, Harder just opts to just clear, clear, clear. Again, there's nothing that important really to do here. Again, Heimerdinger is going to be a bit tricky to gank. Although the wave's looking in a decent position here, but Heimerdinger is playing pretty smart here. He knows that. Actually, he doesn't exactly know when Nunu started because he did leashless. But he is hugging topside here. But, I mean, you could pretty much assume Nunu is going to start leashless. He's going to be starting Raptors, right? Alright, so coming mid here. Thresh maybe shows a bit too early here. But there's nothing really they can do about that. And that's a nice gank by Harden there on mid. So really good by Thresh as well. Sort of support difference, I guess. Good support roam there after they coming out of base for that reset after that early kill. Alright, so it takes Rift Scuttler and is now instantly looking at bot. Alright, so these are really interesting ganks like this. And this is something you'll notice with high elo Nunu players. They're very, very good with, not, maybe good's not the word, but they're always looking for opportunities to throw out their Ws. So right now, if you look at the wave and just the timing, and this has got to do with intuition feel, it's like, well, why is he going for a W, Nathan, when there's no one on the wave? They might be coming on this wave any moment now, ready for this. And if the most powerful ganks in League of Legends is when someone's like about to walk up and just show on the map. Because right now, if you're the enemy and you haven't been seen for a while, you're like, okay, there's no way I'm going to get ganked, right? So he's sort of like going for this gank. It's actually a good gank even though it fails, is what I'm trying to say here. And always utilizing the move speed. This is very important for Nunu ganks. It makes your Ws very, very dangerous. So we missed the opportunity, and we do show bot, and the enemy bot Jin's actually playing pretty safe here. So actually, just out of curiosity, why is he playing so safe? He just knows he can't walk up, or is it just a timing thing? Yeah, so it's just a timing thing. He actually just mistimed it, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, again, he might have caught Jin here if he waited an extra 5-10 seconds. So obviously he's sort of breaking a rule here as jungling, showing on the map and doing nothing with it. But again, it's the important thing here is the mindset of Nunu. Going for those plays all the time. Trying to get to a gank just as they're about to walk up to the wave is so powerful. And again, that's about timing, intuition, feel. It takes a lot of experience to sort of pull off that stuff. Alright, so goes topside here at a base to clear. Here's Krugs at a level 1. And has now lost his Raptors, and losing Raptors there makes sense. That's the consequence of him showing bot. So that's pretty expected there. Then takes his Wolves. So he's constantly pathing around bot. You'll notice, looks like going for a dragon here. I'll actually just get the time controls up so we can navigate through this a little bit easier. And that's first drag, and obviously makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's been playing around his bot lane there, their priority. So, I mean, they're sort of winning by just 2v2. So, go take the dragon. Cool, cool, cool. Gromp, and then now going for a gank here again, punishing the Jhin flash. So that's a really good gank again, playing around bot side because he knows Jhin has no flash from those earlier, that earlier 2v2 before. His flash is actually just coming up now. Alright, so now he looks up here, gets the gank, and now he knows that Rek'Sai's red's coming up. Utilizing the priority from Yone to come and take this. This is really good usage of priority. Again, putting on a lot of pressure on Rek'Sai right now. Winning bot lane, mid with priority. Takes the red. Going for a mid gank now. And Yone misses the ult, but literally still kill him because Nunu and Yone is such a good combo. Again, sort of showing the strength of that combo. Alright, walking up top side now. Messes up that W, comes to defend from Rek'Sai. It makes sense why Rek'Sai, this is actually smart by Rek'Sai. He's trying to trade his red buff for Heiden's red buff, but it's actually very difficult for Rek'Sai because, I mean, looking at the mid priority here, his Heimerdinger is dead. Like, he's pretty much on a... Yeah, it's very difficult to counter jungle and Nunu in these situations as well. So he should probably just be getting out of here. Yep, Yone's rotating. Cool, cool, cool. Krugs looking top now. Charges up W. And that's a kill on Akali. Doesn't even hit the W. Flash, W knock up. Alright, so let's take a look at the way this gank's executed. So look at where he's channeling his snowball from. So he starts it here, and it's very difficult. You never want to like snowball here because you're probably just going to get cancelled by the wall. So doing it here just sort of ensures that it's not going to get cancelled. So charging it up, trying to get, again, this is the airplane mindset that I talk about in my Nunu guide, trying to get the biggest run up possible to get that move speed bonus, the bigger snowball, the more CC, the more damage. So maybe probably could have hit that if he positioned it a little bit better. And then Haida now goes for the good old flash, short W knock up, and that's a dead Rek'Sai. Alright, taking Rift Herald now, since Rek'Sai's dead. Heimerdinger actually solos the Yone there. And now we are ganking mid. Okay, that's the other thing as well, ganking Heimerdinger with his turrets. I actually forgot to mention that. So Heimerdinger is actually very difficult to gank for Nunu, especially lane ganks are probably off the bar completely. Like you said, if you think about the way he was ganking Heimerdinger before, it was from this angle. So that's probably your best bet as Heimerdinger. This and this are probably going to be very difficult. So this failed ganks because, yeah, it's Heimerdinger. So still has Rift Herald. Okay, so he sees Rek'Sai going bot here. They survive that gank, and then Heiden here actually just fully commits to trading sides of the map. Charging up a full snowball from here. And Akali just can't even get away from this. And then Rift Herald resets. And then Zac breaks top. Alright, so pretty good early game here. Good impact on bot. I think he identified perfectly the right win condition here. Playing around bot, played around mid a little bit when he could see opportunities. But overall, this is a very clean game. So let's now jump into game number 2. So before we get into the second game, I want to do a quick little recap here that I've actually started to do in my reviews. And I'd love to get your thoughts to see if you find this useful. But what I'm essentially doing is separating events in the game based on what happens in each reset. And what I want to do eventually with these is looking at challenger players or high elo players and comparing what do they do compared to, in the same amount of time, compared to a lower elo player. What does a good game look like? What does a bad game look like? Obviously, this is a really good game from Heiden. So looking at his early game here, he gets a successful gank off on Heimerdinger and fails a bot gank, but I did talk about that the mindset behind that gank was still very good. And the only other gank he fails is on 9 minutes 20 when he tries to kill Heimerdinger, which I think was just a really bad gank because Heimerdinger sort of just counters Nunu with his turret. So if we're looking as well in what's going on, again, I've color-coded this in terms of kills, failed ganks, counter jungling. He only does once this game. He only takes an enemy red buff with Yone's priority mid. Other than that, we're seeing a lot of ganking and a lot of objective taking. I mean, he takes a dragon and a Rift Herald. I mean, this whole from this reset, since he resets here, he does a lot in 6 minutes. He takes a dragon, kills Jhin, takes enemy red buff, counter jungles, kills Heimerdinger, kills Akali, takes Rift Herald, and then kills Akali again, and then breaks first tower top. So there's a lot he's done in this, which really helped him accelerate this game here. I mean, this is just really good jungling. And early game here, I guess not too much happened because his bot lane sort of just won. He sort of just relaxed and did Raptors, Red, Wolves, Blue, Gromp. Obviously killed Heimerdinger mid with Thresh. But I thought that, again, this is a really good way to sort of visualize what exactly did he do in this game. And if you were to write this for your games, what would that look like? Again, going well and going poorly. Again, I'm not going to get into the why reasonings. Like, I'm not going to just type out why everything bad happened. That's, again, for the review. But again, I think this is a really good way to identify what happened in the game. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And we'll be doing this for the other 2-3 games as well. So let's take a look at... Oh, the other thing as well is that he resets on 2600 gold here. Literally, so this is the game where he buys the Sunfire Aegis, like, straight up. And he actually skips Dark Seal, which he really likes to get, but because it's such a good item, you're building mythics so early in the game, it makes sense. Alright, so now let's go into the second game. Okay, Harden is again starting on red side this game. The runes he's going for is the second option that I talked about in runes, and he's going the very heavy, long fight, skirmishing, never die, heal up Nunu. Going Conqueror with Taste of Blood and Ravenous Hunter secondary. Again, he rarely goes these runes, but because he's against a Shen, Zac, Nautilus, I think this makes a lot of sense. So I really like this adaptation of runes. Again, League of Legends is all about adaptation. Adapting your runes, adapting your item builds. So let's take a look at the early game here. So he doesn't start W this game, just going for a Q start, wards this, then switches out to Sweeper Trinket. So again, the ward here is, I find as well, the only way you can really screw up a Nunu is by invading him on his first buff. So that's why I really like this ward. It sort of just like eliminates any late invade options. I mean, he's probably rarely going to get late invaded by a Zac here, but I love this ward pretty much every game. Even though you could say, well, Nathan, why would he not ward this, the other side of the map? Because that's where he's going after. How do we know if he's going to get invaded? Again, once Nunu's got his W, you're all good. Once you get some levels, you got your consume. It's just the late invade that really hurts you. Alright, so starting red here gets a leash by Kled, and again is pathing towards bot. So again, if we identify some win conditions here, I would absolutely be playing around bot again. We go to Leona into Nautilus. This is going to be pretty hectic bot lane. Leona's actually had her flash forced in the early game here from an invade, which is also pretty important for them to go down there, because it's going to be, enemy bot lane is going to probably try and punish that. Mid lane is probably definitely doable to gank, but you don't really have any CC tools in terms of Akali, so not the easiest, but still possible again, because Nunu ganks are so OP. And Thresh, Kled up top definitely can still, again, kill Shen. So there's a lot of options here, but I think bot lane is still number one priority here. Definitely be here ASAP. Alright, so he does something a little bit interesting here, which isn't really a common path at all. He goes red into Krugs. So this is definitely a very efficient path. Then he goes into Raptors. Maybe thought process here is doing this is he's making sure that his Krugs are off the map, so then Zac doesn't maybe invade them if he shows on a bot gank. So he's going straight for a level 3 gank just straight away here. He actually sees this is warded. And there you go. Looks like a first blood already. Alright, so let's ask, why does he skip his camps compared to the other one where he just did his wolves? Well, because look how far they are pushed up. And even if they're warded, and I guess this is the strength of Nunu, even though he's warded, Nautilus has warded this, he still just goes for this gank. And Leona actually does a really good way of just zoning him out there. So great, first blood there. Clears the ward. Goes back to his jungle here. Takes blue. Alright, just a quick little thing here as well. He actually drags them both out when this is pretty low, when it's about to die. So this is to get probably the jungle burn on both of them. So again, trying to be really efficient clearing these. So does Gromp. And then now he's looking to counter gank Zac bot. Charges up a nice W. This is probably going to be a really good gank. And helps him push us in. So I would say it probably doesn't get any better than this in terms of an early game for Nunu. He's 2-0-2. He's impacted bot significantly. He's played around a win condition correctly. This is probably doesn't get better than this. So really, really good early game here. Let's see how Harden now looks to play out the rest of the early game. So it takes Riff, Scuttler. Looking for a gank. So you see right here, he's actually looking for a gank. He's also pinging as well. This is also the important thing with Nunu as well, and you actually notice as well on this earlier gank here by Hayden, is that he pings all the time that he's coming. So you see how he's asking for assistance, so he's telling his team he's ready for a gank. So his team's getting ready to gank. This is also important. This is probably that people are going to listen to you more in high elo than lower elo, but still really important to be communicating with your team through pings. So again, I want to emphasize that he does it again after this crab. You see how he instantly pings that? So he might go for this gank, he might not. He's just challenging his base. He's like, where's she going? And then charges up a snowball here. And tanks a tower for Akali, but just burns a flash. So I wouldn't call that a failed gank. You don't call ganks failed if you still burn summoners, because again, you can potentially repeat gank that. Alright, so now he was initially looking to maybe base if he couldn't gank mid, but now decides to do Raptors and then Krugs. And what I believe he's doing here, and this is what I talk a lot about in my content, he's creating an efficient jungle path around his win condition. Again, he wants to come back bot and punish the summoner spells. So this is the most efficient path. You're going to reset the most amount of gold. And again, he's playing around his win condition correctly here. So halfway to level 6, running straight bot. He has a Dark Seal off this base. Again, likely because he could buy a Sunfire off the first base like last game. So coming down here and fails this gank. So let's take a look at why this gank fails. Oh, so Zac obviously ganks this. And then charging up a snowball. So if we really think about it here, the enemy team is playing pretty passively right now. They're also not committing to any minions. And if you look at the state of the wave, there's no really reason for them to, because this wave is going to push in eventually anyway. So the problem with this gank is that the enemy team's not committing to any minions, so there's no reason for them to play aggressively, which makes ganking much more difficult. So they simply just walk away, unfortunately. But they still have priority there, so not too bad. I mean, he's giving away free information to the enemy team, but he knows Zac's bot anyway because he counter jungled there. I mean, it's not like he's going to lose Rift Herald, so he just goes to take Dragon with the bot lane priority there. And his team's literally just killing them there, so he just takes Dragon. And takes Gromp, and then comes and kills bot. And this is a much better gank, again, because they're committing to minions here, and Leona CC. Also, this is the best situation to gank. Ideally, you'll let your support, your laners engage first, and then you're there for the follow-up engage to lock them down. So that's why, again, playing around supports with CC are really, really good. With Nunu. And there's some more kills there. Hayden is now 303. Builds Merc Treads. Again, reason being is that, I mean, there is a lot of CC here, and he doesn't really have tenacity. So I think that's potentially why, but also, I mean, in terms of if you look at AP damage here, Ori, Zac, I mean, Shen to an extent, not really, because, I mean, he does have the Barmy Cinder, but definitely makes, just for the tenacity alone, he needs to go Merc Treads, because he doesn't have it inherently in his build. If he did have tenacity, I think going Ninja Tarbs definitely, potentially would be better for the Shen and the Misfortune, but again, I think you're very flexible with your boots this game. Well, sorry, no, he's not flexible with his boots because he doesn't have tenacity, so he's sort of forced into Merc Treads. He's got Alacrity in his rune tree. Alright, so out of base, goes straight to Raptors, goes to red, and then checks the Rift Herald here. So why does he check Rift Herald here? So, reason being is that it hasn't been taken yet. He's just shown on bot, so if you're the enemy Zac right now, you're probably thinking, how can I quickly potentially sneak Rift Herald, because Nunu's not going to be around for a while. So I think this makes a lot of sense to check the Rift Herald here. I like this a lot from Hayden. He also still has Flash, so it's not like too risky, because he can just flash over the wall if it's worst case scenario. Nautilus is here, but Leona's roaming up, and he's just being patient here. And they do have mid priority here. He steals the Rift Herald. Let's just take a look at that again. It's going to be difficult to steal camps objectives off Nunu with Consume Q. Consume Smite, sorry. And these guys are pretty much all dead here. Alright, then after that goes to take wolves, takes blue. I mean, this game's pretty much already over anyway. Alright, I think that's all we're going to look over for this game here. After that Rift Herald play, I mean, that was pretty much their only shot to get back into the game. Alright, so let's take a look at a recap of Hayden's second early game there. Alright, so recapping game 2, he did the red Krugs Raptors straight into a level 3 gank bot. Again, taking Krugs off the map, it's a very efficient path. And it's very good for denying any sort of threat of the enemy jungler counter-jungling them. Let's say if you were to show on the bot side and the enemy Zac starts red. So do like this path in this game. Again, that level 3 gank is going straight bot because he knows the enemy team is going to potentially look to play very aggressive because the enemy Leona had no flash from that level 1. Then goes, takes his blue, his Gromp, counter-ganks bot with a really nice gank. Counter gank, killing 3 people. By this point, Titan's literally 202. Then goes for, gets Scuttle Crab, and then goes for a mid gank. Burns Ori's flash. It's yellow because it's not a failed gank. We're still getting a summoner spell, which we can potentially punish after that. Takes 2 minions mid, and then does his Raptors and Krugs, and that's a massive reset. So I would say it doesn't probably get better than this for a Nunu in terms of the pathing around bot, and also just the amount of pressure he put. He killed bot twice, essentially, and literally burnt Oriana's flash mid, and also chunked her as well. She had to reset. But Akali had to reset there as well because they tried to go for a dive play. Alright, then the second, after he resets, he does foul gank bot. This foul gank didn't really matter too much because enemy Zac did just show bots. So there's nothing Zac's going to really take off it anyway. Went to go clear the control, then just took the dragon with bot priority. The enemy team couldn't do anything about that. Then goes from dragon, takes his Gromp, reganks bot since they have no summoner spells, kills them again, resets on 1000 gold. And then out of base goes straight to his Raptors, then red buff, then checks the Rift Herald because the enemy team is probably likely looking to get it especially after this gank bot that Hayden did, looking to pressure topside. He checks it, and this is when the game's pretty much over. He steals it, and then enemy team kills Nautilus and Zac. So as you can see here, so 0 counter jungling happened this game. It was very high impact ganks. Gank, 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 gank. Like, again, I want you to sort of think about it, looking this to your games. Like, how many times you foul ganking, how many times are you putting successful ganks off, and also putting successful ganks off around your win condition. Again, bot was an excellent win condition that game for him. Kalista is a very, very important to win lane. So I think it was really, really smart to play around bot there. All right, let's now jump into game number 3. Alright, so game number 3 here, again, so Hayden is going back to his main room page with the Absolute Focus, Triumph, and Tenacity, and then taking Attack Speed, AP, and Armor. Alright, so thinking about win cons this game, again, I'll probably be saying bot again, it's pretty vulnerable. Brand is so easy to gank as Nunu. He does have some CCs Rakan, but Rakan's pretty weak, pre-6, and it looks like it's a Sion mid, and then Kale top. So mid, again, very probably doable, you know, with gold card. Again, Nunu's gank. Nunu can literally gank anyone, but I think bot is the easiest. And also, you know, at the end of the day, ganking bot, you are killing 2 people and you do have that potential to take the dragon as well. So let's take a look at his early path in this game and compare it to the last 2 games. So he's just sitting here, waiting here. Again, going blue smite refillable potion, which is a standard first base. Not actually switching out to Sweeper Trinket. This is interesting. I don't know if this is like he just realized he was alt-tabbed or something. He just realized too late he couldn't switch out to Sweeper. I can't see any reasoning why he would want to sit on the yellow Trinket. So not sure on that one. I think Sweeper is very important for those first ganks and to just put out pressure on the map. Alright, so he does Krugs again here. Red Krugs into Raptors. So same path as last game. Bot's fully pushed up. Deja vu. Here we go again. And he's pinging on the way, again, utilizing pings, communicating with his team. And burns Jhin Flash, burns Bran Flash, and they kill Bran there. Great. So, looking to re-gank now again. Alright, so this is a really common thing for Nunu. Coming back here and then looking to charge up again. Okay, well, he's sort of just counter-ganking right here. But charging up another snowball, coming down here. And now they burn Zax's flash. That's a lot of flashes to punish. So they now... Wukong also TP's down here, which allows him to pretty much get a free crab here. Brand knows he's just hanging around. Brand's literally pushing him out of his jungle. This makes a lot of sense from Brand. He knows Wukong went back top and the enemy bot lane... Well, I mean, Heiden's bot lane had to base. But again, you're against the Nunu here. Nunu's not too afraid of losing things. He starts both camps. He always... So again, this is another common thing. He's starting Blue and Gromp at the same time to be efficient and getting the old talisman burn on them. Alright, so Rakan shows top there, which potentially is going to allow bot to pressure a bit here. But coming bot here to punish the flash, dodges the Brand Q. So that's very good mechanics there with his flash. So Brand tried to do an EQ and then flashes it to kill the Jhin, which is really big. They probably could have turned that 2v3. I mean 2v2. The Brand and the Jhin probably could have won that if he hit the Q, if Brand hit that Q there. So really good flash there. That just changes the whole gank. So they kill Brand, and I think Heiden's actually going to die here. Brand support overpowered. Literally just has a Spell Thieves. Alright, so that's Heiden's first death, I believe, in the early game of these 3 games. So that's a bit different. So again, buying Barmy Cinder and then Dark Seal. Loves buying the Barmy Cinder. Paths Raptors straight out of base. And looks like he's looking to path bot straight away. Again, there's so much action here. Screw the Krugs. We need to go straight bot. Starts the... Oh, okay. So this is a bit botched here. So he looks to go for the gank. Oh, so he consumes the Wolves. And then he charges up his W. And then it sort of just cancels. So he just backs off straight away. I mean, if he channeled that, he probably could have actually got the Jhin here, to be honest. Jhin actually walked backwards. Back again. So, yep, that's a bit unfortunate, but that's okay. Channels his W again punishing. I love these regank after regank after regank. Unfortunately fails that gank onto the Jhin. Would have this worked if he hit this? Again, sort of same situation in terms of why this gank didn't work as successfully as other ones is look at the wave. Jhin doesn't need to have to walk up here. There's no reason for him to commit to any minions. But similar, again, the exact same situation. He's coming to Dragon. And this is actually a bit of a sneak, actually. This is a bit of a sneak Dragon. Like, the enemy team has full bot priority. They could have pretty easily come and force him off this. So I'd say that's a bit of a riskier Dragon compared to the last Dragons he's taken. And the Zac takes his red buff for showing on bot there. So that makes a lot of sense. So it comes up here, trades these. And coming up top now for a dive play. And again, this is just a champion that can do this. This is why Nunu's ganks are so strong. So again, look at the way, again, he's whoops, that's the recap. He's channeling his W for in this tribal share instead of like here. He ganked top the exact same way from game 1. So coming up top here, killing Kale. And Zac shows bot, which gives him a free Rift Herald. Twisted Fate, Sion is trying to kill Twisted Fate here. Comes and helps this. And Nunu's just really good at turning those situations when he's low health and they're committed in melee range. They kill Rakan. So resetting now on 1700 gold. And pathing straight bot now. Again, playing around the win condition. The most resources he's put in down here. But unfortunately, Kai'Sa dies there. Rakan solo kills the Jhin. Okay. And then Brand tries to commit. This guy's not going to get away from a Nunu. Bit of a wild goose chase here. Kills the Brand. Takes his blue buff, comes mid here, and kills the overextending Sion. And then takes his Raptors. Alright, so 5-1-1 in the early game. This is a bit of a mid-difference game as well, but he did help impact mid a bit. Again, we're looking at, we've taken Dragon, we've taken Rift Herald. This is pretty common in terms of when he's ahead. So let's take a look at the recap now. So now recapping everything that happened in the early game there for Hayden. So he did the same path he did the last game. Red Krugs Raptors straight into a level 3 bot gank. Again, you notice the utilization of his pings when he's on his way bot. Burns all the enemy summoner spells and kills the enemy brand. Then enemy Zac tries to go for a counter gank. He walks back, does another W snowball. Burns the enemy team's flash. Again, I don't view that as a failed gank. Burning summoner spells is it's a good small win. Then takes the bot crab, blue, Gromp, then goes, kills bot again, killing Jin, but unfortunately dies to the brand. His first resets on 1740 gold. Goes straight to Raptors out of base, then looks for a gank bot, but the play's finished, TF ults kills them. Goes and finishes his wolves, then does a fail gank bot on Jin. Again, going back to why this gank failed, there was no minions for Jin to commit to. He just walked back after. It was pretty close, and again, Nunu makes ganks look pretty close, but again, you want ganks to be making sure they're nice and very clean. And then he goes and sneaks Dragon, first Dragon with Rakan. Again, this was a bit of a risky Dragon, I think. Paths to take his red, but his red's gone because he showed bot, took the Dragon there, so that was good counter jungling by Zac. Looks to the gank's top, kills the enemy Kayle top, just a quick free kill there. Enemy Zac then just shows bot, so good timing, his top side, takes the free Rift Herald. Helps Twisted Fate mid, he sees a free kill there. Checks his wolves, then resets, so his wolves obviously gone because the enemy Zac took them because he took Rift Herald. So Zac's always trying to take something. This is the higher elo you go, you're going to lose stuff for taking objectives like the Dragon and the Rift Herald. But I'll take a Dragon and Rift Herald over one jungle camp, over a red and one wolves any day of the week. So resets after that, and then path straight bot out of base, goes straight to kill the enemy brand. Takes his blue buff, then kills the overextended Scion on the tower. So that's going to be the end of that one for the review. Again, notice here, high impact ganks right now. He did fail gank once, then sneak the Dragon again. I think that was slightly a bit risky, but again, he's taking Dragon and Rift Herald. So when he's ahead, he's just taking absolutely every major objective there, and he loves to prioritize bot. Again, it's looking like a common theme. So what we're going to do now is let's look at through those 3 games, just the way how Hayden plays. Let's look at some common trends to sort of just recap up this whole video. So to finish off, looking at the key takeaways from these VOD reviews. So I did emphasize the W out of base level 1 for experienced Nunu players only. Again, the starting consume is just too important for you to clear your camps as soon as possible for you to get those early ganks off. He always looks to buy Barmy Cinder as soon as possible. Also does like going the Dark Seal then after that, but again, that was in the item build paths you can take a look at before. Very heavy priority on ganking bot all 3 games. Again, can't really tell if that's just a coincidence, but bot lane ganks are very easy for Nunu. Also, look at the way he did gank. It was always through river, utilizing the water walking through his runes. There is another path I really like going behind, completely behind them, which is very little counterplay to it, which I'll talk about in future videos, but that's the way he ganked bot there. It was pretty successful. He was even walking through wards, killing people. But again, that's again utilizing, I think, identifying the correct win conditions. Game 2 there, I'll say that was the best case scenario for Nunu. Resetting 2200 gold, 202, insane map impact. And just remember, these games are all challenger games. These people are just rolling over, just this Nunu. This Nunu's rolling over because he's picking the right ganks, he's picking the right situations. So this is very, I would say it's not, you're going to be able to replicate this if you're ganking correctly in most games. This game was so good because he pathed efficiently around his win condition. Perfectly when he went mid, ganked to the Orianna, burnt the flash, then took his Raptors Krugs. There's no hope of the enemy Zac counter jungling, then we went straight bot to kill bot again. When he passed topside, he loves taking Raptors first out of base instead of maybe going to Krugs. Rarely does unsuccessful ganks. In those games, they were all very high impact ganks around what he identified as the win condition. All games, he took Dragon, first Dragon, all 3 games, and Rift Herald 2 of the games, so getting both objectives off the map. Very rarely counter jungled. He only took one camp over those 3 games, which was that red buff with Yone priority in game 1. Constantly looks to punish enemy laners without flash. And his build paths are very versatile. Again, you can go back to the item builds. But, you know, he was, let's say, for example, he's getting tier 2 boots before Sunfire, or Sunfire first rush before boots, depending on how the game flow's going, how much gold he's resetting on. So this is going to wrap up this video, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this sort of style of video. I'm going to cover a couple of other Nunu Challenger players, see what they're doing in the preseason. Any questions you have around Nunu, let me know. It's going to give me content ideas to make videos on. Again, I'm going to be focusing only on 3 champs in this preseason: Nunu, Eve, and Hecarim. So let me know if you have any questions, and we'll see you in my next video.